Hi, this is Pat Zaby. I'm here with David Knox on Real Estate Live. We're about to do another section on financing. In this one, we're going to work on objections and ways to overcome objections with financing information. One of my big beliefs is the fact that whenever a person gives you an emotional objection, you should overcome it with logical reasons. If they give you a logical objection, you should overcome it with emotional reasons. And we'll see examples of that in just a moment. So let's just start with the very first one, which we hear from time to time, where a person says, you know, I think if we wait just a little while longer, we'll be able to buy the home cheaper than we can buy it now. I think we've all heard that. It's certainly commonplace in today's market. So in that situation, what we're going to do is use the cost of waiting to buy. We need to plug in whatever price home they're trying to buy, whatever down payment, and whatever the mortgage rate is going to be. And then what we're going to do is very simply come up with some answers. And our dialogue would go something like this. We would first start out with talking about why we don't think the market is going down. In other words, what we think that it's already bottomed out, it's started going back up again, we've got proof through MLS and all the other things, but the dialogue goes like this. Let's just assume that you're right, and if you wait a little while, maybe the price of the home will come down. But while you're waiting for the price of the home to come down, if the interest rate were to go up, do you realize you would actually pay more for the house even at the cheaper price? And that's if you were correct. What would happen if the price of the home didn't come down but the cost of funds did go up? Oh my gosh, you get hit by a double whammy at that point. So we use cost of waiting to buy to overcome the objection that they want to wait for the home to come down a little more in price. Now let's look at another objection, and this one is going to be one of those where you've been showing a buyer for weeks now, and you've called them on the phone because some new listings have come on the market, trying to set up an appointment with them, and they say to you, you know, Pat, we've decided that we're not going to buy it this time. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, what brought this on? And you're thinking to yourself, I've fed you 4 times, I've taken you out to dinner, and now you're deciding that you don't want to buy a house? And if we overcome this objection, try to say something to them that is bullying them into buying a house, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to suggest to you is something that is called your best investment. I started off by saying, I want to congratulate you, because it takes them off guard. And so automatically they're thinking, why are you congratulating me? I've told you I'm not buying a house. And you say, you know, I talk to a lot of people during the week, and some of these people want to buy a house right now, but they don't have the down payment, or they don't have the credit, and they just can't qualify. And the reason I'm congratulating you is you actually can afford to buy a house right now, and you've saved your down payment. So what I want to suggest to you is to put it away somewhere safe so that when you need it, you'll have it. Don't do like some people do. They go out and they buy a car or a boat or a Sea-Doo, and then they don't have the money for a down payment. So it's important for you to put it away somewhere safe. In this example, what we're going to do is we're going to compare 3 different types of rates. A CD for ultra-conservatism, stock market, and the home. Now in this example, I used a 2% appreciation rate on the CD, 5% on the stock market, and 2% on the home. So my dialogue would go something like this. You know, if you were to put your money into a certificate of deposit right now, the fact of the matter is it wouldn't grow a lot, but it would grow a little bit. Your $8,750 would grow to $9,661. It would be safe, it would be secure, and it would be insured. Now on the other hand, if you could take a little more risk, if you could pick the right stock, you could put it in the stock market and your $8,750 would grow to $11,000. Now that's assuming you could pick the right stock. It could go down in value, which happens. Now I'm introducing a little doubt to them. But then I get to the point that I really want to make. I want to remind you of something we talked about the very first time that we met. And I wanted you to know that a home is a leveraged investment. And if you take your $8,750 and invest it in a home, it's not growing at just the rate of the $8,750. It's growing at the value of the home. And in this example, your $8,750 would grow to $54,000 in equity in 5 years' time, based on both amortization and appreciation. Where do you think the best place would be to put your money? And if I need to use one more thing, of course, I could always say, you know, money you make on your certificate of deposit is taxed as ordinary income. Your stock market investment, if you keep it more than a year, would be taxed at long-term capital gains rate. But your home, profit on your home, could be tax exempt. You could be part of the exclusion, up to $500,000 if you're married and you own the home for more than 2 years. Where do you think your best investment would be? Okay, let's look at one more objection that could come up. And this is a typical thing that happens every once in a while. A person says to us, I want to think it over. You've been showing houses all day for these people. You've missed dinner with your family, and you think, surely I'm writing an offer, and all of a sudden they drop the bomb on you. I want to think it over. Well, one of the things that we need to understand is a fear of loss is a very powerful motivator. And so we want to introduce that into the situation here, and we're going to use if the rate goes up. All we need to do is simply put in the mortgage amount and the interest rate that they're going to use, and we've got a chart that allows us to be able to use it as aggressively or as conservatively as we would like to. For instance, my dialogue might go something like this. Now, I certainly appreciate your wanting to think it over. Buying a home is a big decision, and I just need to show you something. You know, you're not locked in on your interest rate right now, and you aren't going to be locked in until you actually get a contract totally signed and tell your mortgage officer that you're locked in. So if the interest rate were to change by just 0.5%, your payment goes up by $69.68 per month. How are you going to feel to be living in the same house and have to pay more to live in it? At that point, I'd wait to see if I got any kind of reaction at all from the people. And if I didn't get much of a reaction, I'd actually bump it up a notch or so. I'd say, and of course, occasionally we see interest rates go up by 1%. They just all of a sudden jump like that. And if they did go up, it would cost you $141 more per month to live in the same house. How would that make you feel? And then another great question to ask sometime is, what could you spend $141 a month for? Well, I can guarantee you that between the two of them, they'll know something they can spend $141 a month for. Now let's look at a different situation. Again, the interest rate's going to go up. We're introducing doubt into their mind, but in this case, they want to keep their payment at a certain amount. Or they've been in to see the loan officer and they've said they can't qualify for more than a certain payment. So again, we start off with our dialogue. I certainly appreciate your wanting to think it over. Buying a home is a big decision, but I need to show you something. If the interest rate were to go up by 0.5% while you're waiting to make a decision, then what happens is you're going to have to put an extra $12,000 down in order to buy this house to keep your payment at $1,200. How's that going to fit in with your plans? Well, obviously it doesn't fit in with their plans. You know, most people are using their down payment and their closing costs to get into the house. They don't have extra funds. They're just not going to be able to buy this house. And then going out and looking at a house at a lower price is not going to have the things in it that they really like. So as a result, they're not going to be a very happy person. This is an incredibly powerful close right here, to let them know that if the rate goes up while they're waiting to make a decision, they could be out of the market on this particular home. Very, very powerful. Let's look at one more objection, and this is the one that we hear when we are negotiating a contract and we're this far apart, and then all of a sudden both seller and buyer get stupid and neither one of them will move. This is called, isn't it worth it? And some of you may have heard it as reduced to the ridiculous, but basically what we're trying to do is find out what is the actual dollar difference that's keeping us apart, and then we need to plug that into one of our applications. Now in this example, as you can see, we've got a $9,000 difference here. But reality says that You know what? It's only $51.10 a month. Well, that's when we need to get down to the nitty-gritty on this, and this is where dialogues really come into play. When a person says, I can't afford it, that is a logical objection, and we need to overcome it with emotions. You know, in these financing sections that we've been doing here for Real Estate Live, we've been talking about a lot of the tax advantages and investment aspects of home ownership. But we also have to remember that emotion plays a huge part. So, you know what I might start with in my dialogue would go something like this. I need to apologize to you. Well, that takes them off guard. And they're wondering, why am I wanting to apologize? I need to apologize to you. You know, ever since our very first meeting, I've been talking about the tax advantages and investment aspects of home ownership, and I talked to you about interest rates and all sorts of ways to get the cheapest cost of housing, and I've actually overlooked some things that I really need to talk to you about. You know, the reality is we buy homes because we want pride of ownership. We want a place we can call our own. We want a place that we can raise our family, that we can share with our friends, a place that we feel safe and secure. And it's hard to put a dollar number on those things. You know, if I came over to your house tonight and looked at the coffee table or some end table, could I find something sitting on one of those tables that you bought somewhere and that you didn't expect to make a profit on? I mean, you weren't planning to put it on the Craigslist and sell it for a profit. You just bought it because you enjoyed it and you got enjoyment out of it and it was worth it to you. Occasionally, do you go out to dinner with your spouse, and do you sometimes order a bottle of wine, and maybe it's not a special occasion at all, but you did it because you enjoyed it? Well, that's what a home is about. You buy a home to enjoy. It's not purely profit. Now, it is absolutely one of the best investments you can ever make. But you know, now I'm going to go into a summary close. You told me that you wanted a home with a 6-burner stove, and we've looked at a lot of houses, and this is the only one with a 6-burner gas stove. You wanted a yard that your kids could play in one section of it, and you'd have a separate section of the backyard for your dogs. And this house has got those, and now I'm going to itemize each and everything. And then I get down to the point to this, and I say, and you can have this house because it's the only one you've even made an offer on, and it fits all your needs, and the only thing keeping you from moving into this house is $51 a month. Isn't it worth it? Now, intentionally, I'm not going to the $1.70 yet because I need to save that. If I don't make enough impression on the $51 a month, I need to go reduce it to the ridiculous. I divide it by 30. Automatically, the application tells me it's $1.70 a day. Now, I need to look at and put it into their currency. If they're drinking a bottled water that I know is more than $1.70, I can say something. You're drinking Fiji water. My gosh, how much is that? $3.50 a bottle? Or you're drinking a latte. There's lots of things we can talk about that puts it into the currency that they understand. And once they understand that, they see it immediately. This type of information is absolutely valuable and is available whenever you have your computer there. But you don't always have your computer. But you never are without your cell phone. And that's why having the ability to access this from your cell phone so you could show a person that we're really only talking about $51 a month. And isn't it worth it for $1.70 a day to have the home that really fits your needs? And we use all of these to overcome objections. It's a powerful thing to be able to use financing information to overcome objections. Sometimes we're using logical information to overcome emotional objections. Sometimes we're using emotional reasons to overcome logical objections, but always staying with our financing. One of the things we said in one of the earlier sections was simply, I help people understand the tax advantages, financing alternatives, and investment aspects of home ownership and why now is an incredible time to buy. When you believe that, when you believe we're in one of the best buyer's market ever, when you understand that the prices are right now, when the interest rates are low, and the decision to buy a home is absolutely important for buyers to make, you can help them get off the fence when you understand that financing is the key here. I'm Pat Zaby, and I want to thank you for joining us on Real Estate Live.